Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm great.
So,
All right. Do you have everything
yep.
all in your mind? That's
I just going from memory.
man. I wish I had that kind of a memory. It's like, oh my gosh. All right.
I'm just gonna wing it.
Awesome. All right. So this is gonna be for, I guess, a YouTube video talking about red flags in relationships. Right.
Yes.
All
So,
right. Okay. So, oh my gosh, there are so many red flags in a relationship. Like, because it's like, okay, relationships are meant to like bring us closer to God and helping us to become like a better version of ourselves.
yeah,
And it's like so many things get in the way of that.
I've noticed because I've obviously been through relationships, and then I've seen friends go through relationships that have not been too good. Like I just recently lost a friend due to that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen how she's acting, and that's how I was when I was younger, and
Right.
it just brings back my past, which was not good. But I'm like seeing like, yeah, she's acting the way I was when I was that immature.
Right. And it's like,
You see the red flags.
oh, for sure. For
Yeah,
sure.
like we are not in the moment. You don't, but
Mm-hmm.
if you're an outsider, you totally see it.
Yeah. I know like with mine, like in my first relationship, I think it was 2 years ago or something. It's like I saw like, literally from kind of thinking back, there were red flags from the very beginning, like of the relationship,
Yes.
and like some of them, and then like as it progressed, it's like I was kind of overlooking them just because like he had some stuff going on and everything, but it's like I didn't want to make what was going on with him and what he had as like an excuse and stuff, and I'm like with
Yeah.
everything combined it wasn't good. And I guess one of the red flags would be like he'd sometimes like lead me to believe one thing and then say and do another thing. Um Even when making plans and stuff,
Oh yeah.
anything, but it's like leading me on.
I know definitely like a red flag would be like if you're in a relationship and you just push everyone away except that guy.
Right.
All your best friends, you're pushing away.
Mhm. Right.
And
And it's like your best friends and like your family, like they were there first
yeah,
before that
the boy
relationship.
is just the bonus.
Right.
That's how I think of it.
Right. He's just an added bonus. Like
Yeah. If you're single for the rest of your life, that's awesome. But if you got a guy, hey, bonus. Great.
exactly. And it's like you can do so much. Like so many people think that like to be single is like a curse or something.
Right.
And I'm like, no, it's actually a blessing, and
Yeah.
you can do so much with your
It's like
life
you're not tied to someone.
around
You're
another.
not you can travel, you can do whatever you want. You're not
Mhm.
tied to someone.
Right. And it's like I don't want to be like when I find the person I'm meant to be with. It's like I don't want to be dying to meet that person. Like I want to be living and like living my life.
Yeah, yeah.
And so
Like I have a
trying to
boyfriend,
be
but I'm also living my life happily, you know?
exactly, and
And
it's
he
like
doesn't
that's how
stop
it's
me from
supposed
hanging
to
out with
be.
my friends, you know. He lets me. He says, go hang out with your friends, you know?
Right, and it's like I love that because like you need to keep that going. Like you need to keep relationships going, and even like when you get married, it's like you don't just push all your friends to the side and all that. I mean, you still have your friendships and you still
Right.
like your
Right.
family, and that's important too. It's like just what's like prioritizing. It's good.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
So I know another thing like you could look at is when I had my past, um, my family noticed stuff about me that I would change, and it was in a negative way.
Mm-hmm.
So the interesting thing when it led up to when it got really bad, my makeup tended to get darker, which was interesting.
That is interesting.
It was dark because I love purple. That's my color.
Mm-hmm.
But purple got darker and darker and darker until it led to that.
Until it was like
I was
solid.
like, I never knew that, but when my dad told me that, I was like, oh, that's interesting.
That is so interesting.
But it's interesting how it shows in yourself.
Right, right. And how it reveals a you that isn't you, but it's
Yeah, yeah. People
like
see it.
it comes
People
out.
see it.
Mm-hmm. Right. I feel like a big thing too, like let's see. Like just how they treat you. Like if they don't encourage you, or if they like, okay, so one of them, so with my home, I'm wanting to be a missionary and everything, and like I have a missionary internship coming up like in February, and so it's like when I was in my relationship with this person 2 years ago, um, like let's see, so we were talking about it, and okay, I guess all of this comes together like during our relationship, probably not even a month, or maybe like 2 months or 3 months, he started to kind of like hint that he wanted to propose and stuff. And I'm like, but it's only been like a month and a half or 2 months or 3 months,
Can't move
like,
too fast.
what if was in such a hurry? And it's like just taking it slow.
It's like, what's the rush?
Yeah, it's like what's the rush? Like when you get married, you're married. Like
Yeah, you
it.
can't. You're stuck with that person forever.
Exactly. And like, and then another one I guess that ties into it is like down the road we would be talking about marriage and like what our views were and everything on marriage and family and raising kids and all that, just to see if we were like equally yoked and on the same page and had like that same mindset.
Yeah, yeah,
And I guess one of the things, knowing that like during that time God started to put in my heart again like a desire for missions, and I thought that wasn't like in my heart as much anymore, but he started raising that up. And so when I would talk to the guy I was dating, when I would talk to him about it, he'd be like, he ended up saying like, oh well, please don't do this, meaning the missionary thing. Don't do this because it would get in the way of my plans.
right.
And so I was thinking about that, and I'm like it's not just about your plans. It's about like everybody involved.
Yeah, yeah. It's yes, it's you, yes, it's me, but it's also our plans too. So you
Mm-hmm.
got to put that together.
Right. Exactly.
I know, like positivity is a big thing too. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of negative people out there, obviously,
Right.
but even when you date someone who's negative, you don't want to. They're gonna make you negative, obvious. So
Right.
you don't want to date someone very negative. You want some positivity in your life.
Exactly. And it's like there's always um I know that one of them would be, so like when I started dating when I was like 20. Oh my, I'm 26. Okay. So when I was like like 2 years ago when I was like 24, and because before that time, from the time I was like 15 to age like 24, I guess, like literally right before I met this person, like 7 months before I met this person. Um, and from the age of 15, I was like discerning to become a nun for like 9 years. And that was like what was in my mind, like for a straight 9 years. I'm like, this is what I'm going to do, and all this stuff. Um, and so I would be telling this person that. And so as I knew that he wouldn't understand as much as I would want him to, like that whole journey and like discerning to become a nun, and that's why I wasn't opening myself up, or that's why I wasn't dating anybody, because that's what God was putting in my heart at the time, was to like discern to become a nun. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Hey, it's your life. There's not other people's choices to what you want to do.
exactly. And I remember like being asked a question, like being asked like, well, why didn't you do, why weren't you dating sooner and all this stuff, because even though he was the first guy I had ever dated, I was like his seventh or something.
Yeah.
It's like like a lot of differences. Like he was experienced and I was just like learning.
Yeah.
So
I
I
know
realized,
my first boyfriend, I should say my first in-person boyfriend, but when I was younger and immature, I was on those dating sites as most girls are,
right.
which I totally regret. But my first like face-to-face boyfriend, I should say, was high school. It did, obviously that's the one that did not end well, because basically I almost didn't graduate high school because of that, actually, because he saw it was a grand idea to do it in the fire room
Mhm.
in high school. I'm like, oh, you
Oh.
smart person. And I walk in, then in comes a teacher. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. But
Oh no.
the interesting thing about that is he was my first boyfriend, but I liked him because I was in love with being in love, not with him.
Right. Yeah. It's
That's
like you
with
can
your
like
first
the
boyfriend. You're
idea.
excited. You're like, I got a guy. Yay. But
Exactly.
no,
Exactly.
that's not how it works. You gotta actually love them. Like,
Right. Like that
love,
brings me
love.
back to um like in my relationship, I would be like he was falling, I knew that he was falling like head over heels for me, but I wasn't for him, and it's like I was trying to figure out like, why can't I fall in love with this person who is saying that he sees me literally as his wife and the mother of his children. Like he would
Right.
like tell me that over and over again. And so he would say I love you, but I could never say it to him. And it's like I was trying to figure out like, why can't I say this? Or why
Yeah.
am I not feeling the same thing? And I was just saying like, I don't want to say it unless I truly mean it,
Yes.
and I don't want to mess with his emotions. Like, so if he told me like I love you, then he would not just say thank you, or I don't even know what I'd even say. But I remember the first time he said it, it was like a month and a half of us dating after us like getting to know each other before then as friends for like 2 months. And so we were just walking um somewhere, and he's like, I've been wanting to tell you this for a while, and he just like flat out said I love you, and I just gave him this look like, oh no, you shouldn't have said that. But then like he understood and all that.
Yeah.
But
It's good to have like some understanding from a guy,
mm-hmm.
instead of
Right.
I'd be like, why don't you love me? Blah, blah,
Right. Right. Oh man, he did say though, like at the end, like he didn't feel loved or something, and I'm like, what do you mean? Because like I would go to things that I didn't want to go to. Like, not that it was immoral, but just I wasn't interested. Like, if it was like he was into track and field and stuff, and it's like one day he wanted me to go to this um, race that he had with his best friend, and it was going to be really, really, really early in the morning. I mean, like almost like at sunrise or something. You'd have to leave,
yeah.
and just I'm like, I don't want to, but I will because I care about you. And so
Right.
like all these other things that would be in our relationship and learning to forgive and all this stuff. And so um like in my mind, I'm like, if he doesn't know that I do care about him, then something's going on. And so when he told me that he didn't truly feel like I loved him, it didn't. I was very confused, and he was saying I understood that he cared more about the like he was focusing so much on the physical aspect than everything else, you know.
Right.
Like you can show your love to somebody even if it's not in a physical way. Like you can still show them that
Oh,
you
of
can
course, yeah.
them, but that's what he was focusing on so much, because I'm somebody who's like, but like physical touch is great, but it's like that's not like my number one love
That
language.
is my last one. I'll say that.
Right?
My
And so
boyfriend, physical touch is a number one for him, but that is a number 5 for me. So out of 5, you know,
number one for me is like,
we have to make a thing where I say, "Don't touch me," and he's like, "Okay." But if he wants to touch me, and I'm okay with it, and I'll let him. But
right,
if I'm not okay
exactly.
with
It's
it,
like
I
with
gotta
my
tell him.
cuddles, I do stuff like that, but like I also love my own personal space.
Oh yes, me too. I like my bubble.
Right, me too. It's like I love my bubble, and just leave me in my bubble. Like you can sit over here. I'll sit over here in this comfy couch with my blanket.
Yes. I know. Also, communication is key too. So you
Oh,
gotta
for sure.
communicate.
For sure. Communication is key.
Don't just like keep your mouth shut and be angry all the time. You gotta communicate.
Exactly. Or like I feel like people like think that people know what their other people are thinking.
Yeah.
Especially guys. And for guys it's so like
Like
men and
guys,
women
they
are so
assume.
different.
Guys assume.
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
Mm-hmm. Right. And it's like it's communication. Communication is key. And
Oh yeah.
I know that that was a big thing for this guy and me, and like we would just communicate, and but I down the road in our relationship, uh which lasted 8.5 months, but down the road I found some stuff out that he had been keeping from me, and I felt kind of like betrayed in a way,
Mhm.
because I was being so vulnerable and open and transparent with him, but there's a big part of him that he was like not telling me that I felt, and he even said that I needed to know, but he I guess he either wasn't ready or to tell me stuff, or he said that he gave me so many chances, that I gave him so many chances, but he didn't say anything. So
Yeah.
communication is key, because that
Yes.
ended up causing like a big like silent thing, and like and mistrust.
Yes.
But in that I also learned to forgive, like what it means.
That's also a big thing. Forgiving.
Yeah.
Even though people make mistakes, people are gonna be dumb, you know.
Mhm.
But just because you're upset at them doesn't mean you need to do anything irrational. Like you gotta
Right.
forgive. You gotta forgive.
Right. And it's like
And that's what God asked for all of us to forgive.
exactly. It's like being Christ's image of each other in that way, and like you're helping him to become more of a man, and he's helping you to become more of a woman that God's
Yeah,
created you to be, and it's like
exactly.
it's great. Yeah. I feel like a big one too. Let's see. I wrote some stuff down. It's just like his like like there's this quote that says, I really love it. It's just been in my mind all the time. That says like run as fast as you can towards God, and if somebody catches up, introduce yourself.
That's interesting. That's a good one.
I love it. Like that's so great. And I'm like of course both of you are going to be different in your walk with Christ,
Of
and
course.
came to him, and like even where you guys are at now, but it's like if you guys aren't chasing Christ together and like helping each other to become better, then like what's the point? Like that needs to
Right.
be like, I feel like that needs to be our first priority.
Yes.
Relationship with God more than
Keep God in the center of your relationship. All relationships, regardless.
Mhm.
It can be just friendships, you know, but all relationships you gotta keep God in the center of it.
Exactly. And it helps so much like just when you're upset with each other or temptation or like whatever, it's just
Mm.
like having God there present, number one. Like
Yep.
yeah. Yeah.
I know, and even like apologizing, like even if though you know what you did was wrong and you just are so upset, but just apologizing for what you did, that's also a big thing. Just coming
Exactly.
forward with what you did was wrong,
Right.
and that goes with the forgiveness thing too.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Today, like, I was reading, so I've been having some struggles, like, going on, um, in my life and stuff, and like learning how to respond to people and like feeling hurt and stuff. But like, I know you know all that.
Yeah.
And so I was reading, like, I was just praying. I stayed up until probably almost 1 o'clock last night, just like trying to pray and figure out, like, Lord, how do you want me to respond to what's been going on in my life? And
Yeah.
because I realized that, like, with the saints, holiness is a lot of times how they responded to things and to people and situations and even to suffering. And so I'm like, I feel like I'm suffering right now and I don't know what you're wanting me to do. But I know that you want all of us to be saints in the present moment. And so I was just praying, like, you need to give me something. Like, you need to give me like, a way that you're wanting me to deal with this so that, like, I can be holy and I can be the saint you want me to be.
Right.
And so I was looked up online last night or maybe this morning, and I came across like a story of Saint Therese and Saint Faustina and how, like, it talked about about silent suffering and how, like, like if somebody says something mean to you or isn't acting that great towards you, like, to not go crazy or talk behind their back or let them know that you're displeased with them, but to just like give them a smile or stuff like that, even though you're suffering inside.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like that, and I realized that that goes for like relationships too,
Oh yeah, for sure.
and just silent suffering. And even though other people don't see that you're really suffering, God sees it.
Yes. Yes. I
And
know, like, also, you don't want to hide all your emotions, and so it builds up into
mm-hmm.
a big explosion, you know?
Right, right.
So, like, that's where communication also comes in. So, you
Mm-hmm.
want to communicate, you want to say, hey, how are you doing? How's your day going? If you feel like something's wrong or is what's going on, or you want to talk,
For
those are good,
sure. Yeah.
good things to say to your partner,
Right. And to
get out
not
of
be afraid to say, like, this is how I feel, and or like, I feel this way when this happens, and to not be afraid to be vulnerable
Yeah.
and like honest. And
I know a big thing about guys is they want to fix things.
yeah.
They want everything to be better,
Mhm.
I respect that. But when I
Right.
want to vent, I want you to be quiet and let me talk.
Right.
Don't fix my issue, just listen.
Right, right. Just listen. Like, sometimes you don't need to say anything. Like, you just listen. You just need to
Yeah. I want you to shut up and listen and let
right.
me talk. Don't do anything, just listen.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh my gosh. There's like so many. I feel like too, um, like in a relationship, um, like I know that I kind of went through this, um, with some of mine, but it's like I feel like when women go into a relationship, and I might have been struggling with this too a little bit, that they feel like they need to fix the other person or something. But I'm like, but I realize and I've learned, like, that's not, like, as women, that's not our job to like fix them like that. They need
Right.
to do that on their own. Um they need to grow towards Christ on their own. And
Exactly.
like you can help them do that, but it's like they need to make it their
I
own.
know, like, if there's someone who isn't happy,
Mhm.
they need to be happy on their own first before they even
Right.
bring someone else. Like, you can't
Exactly.
be with someone else and be unhappy and you say they're going to make you happy. That's not
Mhm.
how it works. You got to be happy,
Right.
find your own happiness by yourself.
Mhm.
And then if a guy comes along, well, there's that bonus,
Yeah,
But
exactly. It's a
you
bonus.
need positivity and you need to work on yourself first before you
Mhm.
think about a
Exactly. Like I feel like um so many times like we depend on other things or we depend on like in a relationship. I know that's one of the things that I was struggling with was how he would sometimes or a lot of times he would say that I'm like the leader of the relationship and the spiritual and everything, and I'm just like he was depending on me
That's not how
to
it works.
lead the relationship to be like his to help him grow closer to Christ. And that's why I was so afraid when I knew that I needed to break off the relationship. That was one of the things that I was kind of tempted with was that if I if I end a relationship, then he's gonna like fall away a little bit because I'm not there. But it's like that's not up to me. Like that's not my job to keep him in line.
Right. I know in a relationship, you actually work as a team. It's not
Yeah,
one or the
yeah.
other.
Mhm.
You work together.
Exactly, exactly. It's like you need to work together. Like you need to work separate, but like you're a team. Like
Yes, yes.
you're a team and you lift each other up and you help each other
Yeah.
and it's not just one person.
Yeah, it's not one or the other. You
Hmm.
are together, you're dating together, you work together.
Exactly, exactly. And that's how it is in marriage. It's like
Yeah,
you're a team and you help each other and it's like, yeah, both of you guys have your own like individual personal relationship with God.
right.
So growing towards God together.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like that's a lot to put on one person.
Oh
Like
yeah, for sure.
that's like to put all
You
of
don't
that
want
on.
the whole relationship on yourself because
Hmm.
that's overwhelming.
Right, right. It's overwhelming and it's like that's how I felt. I felt like it was a lot to put on me, as one person and I
Yeah.
just I couldn't. Like there's so many.
I know like guys also are I've always talked there's a family friend of mine who always says, stay away from Mr. Pig and Mr. Hands.
Right.
Because men, some of them can be inappropriate, and you
Mhm.
want to stay away from those.
Right. Yes.
Be
Inappropriate.
respectful as a person
Mhm.
and as a woman.
Right. Right. And it's like I
You
feel like
don't
people need to
you
look
don't
at
want to date just for the sex. You don't want that.
right. It's like you don't want to date for the sex or the money or whatever.
Yeah,
It's like it's so much more than that. I mean, even the culture, like the culture tells us, like, oh, you should be in a relationship for this and
yeah.
like all this stuff. And like
Like
it's
all the stuff you see on TV, like people are just dating and then they move in together while they're still dating, and then
mhm,
they have sex together while they're
mhm.
still dating.
Right. And
Like
I'm like, what
you
would
gotta
it
save
be?
that for marriage.
Exactly. And I'm just like, what would it be like if you took all of that out? Like,
Yeah,
and if you just like you're able to focus on what's important.
right.
And like I think it helps to write down even before people get in relationships, like to write down or to have it in their minds like boundaries,
Yeah,
like the boundaries you want in a relationship, but also like standards. But to also
yeah,
write down like this is what I want in like a godly relationship. And like
yeah,
this is like all the things just to write it down and write it down on paper. Um, 'Cause I know that helped me a lot. And it helped me to catch myself a whole lot and to discern like is this is this good or is it not good or um like and for my relationships to be with purpose.
yeah. I know. Me and my boyfriend have came up with like rules for
Mm-hmm.
our relationship, so
Right.
that's also helpful too.
For sure. That's what I did with all of mine. It's
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, it's so good. Like literally before, I think it was like with all of mine, it's just at the beginning of our relationships, my boyfriends and I would just sit down and talk and be like, okay, these are our rules. This is what are you comfortable with? What am I comfortable with?
Hmm.
And just doing that, but also respecting each other, but ultimately glorifying God
Yes.
in
Yeah.
all of it. Yeah. I know that in my first relationship, there were like that was the like I just remember we were in this car coming home from like a date or something, and we're like, okay, so this is what we're not doing. And he was actually the one who was like leading the relationship with that
Yeah.
the whole conversation, which I found really attractive. Him being a man and like leading that conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and it's like we're not gonna do this, we're not gonna have sex, we're not gonna like all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's I saw like his character and integrity and yeah.
Yeah. I know. Like also like, I mean, this is always me in any relationship. I always feel like very self-conscious of myself. So, but guys who are always, like calling you hot, stuff like that.
Hmm.
Well, I don't feel that way. Maybe, I mean, and that's where the communication comes into. Like,
Right.
you want to um, just feel good about yourself, yes,
Hmm.
but maybe have the guy call you beautiful instead of hot.
Right. That's, oh my gosh, that's exactly. We would talk about that so much. Like, I just
Yeah.
remember um, the guy I was dating, like, he came over my house and we were talking to my parents and stuff. And we're like, okay, we're just going to take a walk. And I live like 5 minutes from my house, and there's this really pretty walk area that's like in the woods, and it has statues of the Blessed Mother and the saints and stuff. And we were just walking through, and so
Yep.
we were just talking and about attractions and like what are guys attracted to in girls and
Yeah.
like all this stuff. And he would say like, I hate that guys call women like hot or sexy or whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, me too. And
Yeah.
I'm like, just call him beautiful. He's like, I feel like that's just inappropriate.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
And you
so
gotta watch also what you say, even what you do too.
right.
Like,
Mhm.
I mean, I tolerate my boyfriend doing this sometimes, but he
Mhm.
likes to tap me on the butt, and then he calls it a love
Mhm.
tap. Yes, I understand that, but sometimes I don't want that love tap. Sometimes
Right.
I just want you to tell me. Don't show it to me.
Right, right. It's like, just tell me. You don't need to show me.
You don't need to
Like,
spank me on the butt because you love me.
and it's like, I know you love me,
Like I already know you don't need to do that. I'm good.
Right. Right. I think this
Like
guy
my butt's my butt. Don't touch my butt.
was beautiful, or he'd call me sweetheart or something, which I think is
Yeah.
cool.
Yes.
Um, I'm like, I appreciated it a lot because I felt like he he would always say like, first and foremost, I want to treat you as God's daughter, and then your parents' daughter too. So he was like always very respectful and
Yeah.
um, but also like having those boundaries too of like communication, but also um, just how you treat each other. Like I remember one of our rules, we would travel a lot where we'd go. Like we went on vacation with his
Mhm.
family to Disney World for like a month. Maybe no, it was like more than a month or something. But and so um it was like my first time with his family for like that amount of time. And I was getting to know his family more. And so we would talk about it. Like we would talk about how, like, well, we should probably be sleeping in different rooms and all this stuff. And so we made it like a rule of like whenever we traveled someplace, whether because we went to a hotel or whatever, we would always get separate rooms and
Yeah.
just respecting him and his purity, him respecting mine, and
Yes.
like chastity is so pivotal in a relationship,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
which I don't think the world understands.
No, no, they don't. I mean, I will admit I'm not a virgin, but I
Hmm.
regret it for sure because
Hmm.
it was with an ex who I was a complete jerk. So, long story short. But if that never did happen, I will still probably be a virgin.
It is hard, man.
Just you're young, you're stupid, you just want to be in love.
Right, like literally, like that's what it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, honestly, like, uh, I don't know, just like whatever somebody's whole journey is, like, just seeing somebody striving for chastity or like
Yeah.
whatever in the world that's like so, like, not,
Right.
it's like so cool. Like everybody has a past, but everybody can have a future. For that.
Exactly. Yeah. There's always a past. It's like I always think of let the past be in the past, but you want to look forward to the future.
Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful. Hmm. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my quote when I was younger. I still use it
I
though.
That is so great. Oh my gosh. Oh man. I also like a big red flag would be like let's see. So with my like I think in my first relationship, I started to see some red flags and a lot of them we talked about, but like
Hmm.
um a big one was that we actually took like a month break.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you truly want to be with somebody, you don't take a break.
You want to spend every living moment with them. If
Hmm.
you have to take a break, then it's not worth it.
Right. It's like it's not worth it because you can take a break, and we thought that that might be better because we were spending so much time, like
Yeah,
literally
yeah.
so much time with
But
each
you
other.
gotta enjoy your time with them. You can't like be like,
Hmm.
oh, I'm with them all the time, so now I need to take a break.
Right, and that was the thing. It's like some issues that he was having um with some of his family members. Like I could see it, and I would talk to him about it. Like, hey, like why is it like this between you and this person and your family? And he'd tell me, and but I would feel like uncomfortable knowing that they'd be like getting into arguments and crazy stuff.
Yeah,
Even when I was over, and I'm like, I don't want to be with somebody who like, if like this is what I'd have to be a part of
right,
with them, or that my kids would be around, like the kind of stuff that my kids would be around if I was to like marry this person. So that's
right,
what I was thinking. It's like I was thinking of me, but I was also thinking like I feel like it's important when we're dating that we need to ask ourselves like, is this would this person be a good father to my kids, or
right.
a mother to my kids? And
Like, can you see yourself married to that person?
right, like
Can you see a future with them?
mm-hmm. Right, and it's like, are you guys equally yoked? Are you guys on the same page? And
Yeah,
um, stuff like that, and um, like the major important stuff. Are you guys level-headed about?
right.
So big because I think that stuff like that can be overlooked,
Yes. Oh, yeah.
and then it can be crazy in the future.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right, because I had in my heart, um, the day that I ended my relationship, my first relationship, which was like it was a crazy day that day, and it was just crazy. But like, and how it happened, that was even crazier. But I was thinking, or what was I thinking? I was gonna say something, but now I lost it.
happens.
Right.
Let me see. In your first relationship, you were thinking when you broke up with the guy, and then you lost it.
Right. Oh, what were we
I hate when that
talking
happens.
about? But yeah, I was just saying, like, can I see myself with this person? And like there were things that I like when I ended the relationship, like the day that I did that, like, okay, I know what I was gonna say. Like when I broke up with him, in my heart, I felt like if I kept going with this relationship, I knew where it was headed. I knew that like 3 months down the road or 4 months down the road that he would be proposing.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, it's either now or never. Like
Right.
he told me that he was like preparing to propose.
Yeah.
And that he like that was his goal, that he saw me as his wife and the mother of his children. And so
Yeah.
I
That'll be way too fast too.
right, and it's like that's way too fast. And it was already 8 months in, and I knew that.
Yeah.
And
And that's too early also.
right, that's so early. Like
I would
I've been
say
there
at the
a year
minimum
or more.
a year at the minimum.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to still get to know the person, learn about them.
Right. Right. And there are things that when I broke up with him, there are things that were revealed because we had actually had a video call because he lived like 2.5 hours away. So it's like
Yeah.
I didn't see him every day. But
Right.
there were things that I found out about him that I didn't know during the 8.5 months that we were dating. And so I'm like, I'm so happy I didn't say yes to
Yeah.
his proposal.
Yeah.
I felt like when I broke up with him, I said no to his proposal without him actually like officially proposing.
Yeah.
And I felt like had I said yes and had this gone into a marriage, then I would have divorced. Like I knew in my heart, I felt in my heart that I would I would call for divorce in my
Yeah.
heart.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want. So that was hard, but so good.
And you got to be mutually ready. Both of you have to be ready for
Mhm.
marriage.
Right. Right. And it's like I don't want to rush into anything. And
No.
knowing that he was so adamant into rushing into it, into saying things too soon and all this stuff, and like even though you're ready, I feel like it's not a good idea to even rush into it.
Yeah. No. No.
Like you might not be ready, and I feel like that's just too desperate.
Yeah.
Because I know that I needed to work on stuff, and I know that he needed to work on stuff, and that his family members were telling me like he needs to work on stuff, and like a year, um, like things that he didn't need to work on for just 1 month or 2 months, but like a year, or
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
2 years, and it's like, yeah, because that's another red flag. What he was saying, there, we came up with a list. He came up with a list of things that he needed to work on, things that I needed to work on, and we both talked about it. And he would tell me that, like, when I would get upset that he wasn't
Hmm.
do what he was saying, but I am doing this, like I'm doing this and I'm overcoming it, but he would be doing it for me and not for
Yeah.
himself.
No, you got to do it for yourself.
Hmm.
You have to be happy before you can happy with someone else.
Right, and knowing that he was doing it,
Just
he
for
would say things
you.
and do things just to keep me around.
Yeah, that's not right.
Hmm. Right, it was nuts. Can you think of anything else?
I think we hit about a good amount of stuff.
Oh, that's
We
so
got a
cool.
lot of good stuff though.
Yeah, it was really good. I know that one of them. Um, oh, this one. Okay, sorry. Okay. One of them
Yeah, yeah.
was he or let's see. I'd have to come up with the dates,
Yeah.
like things to do.
You both got to decide where you want to go and what you want to do.
Right. It's like it's not just one person coming up with an idea all
That's
the
where the
time.
mutual thing comes in too.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Like that's just that's just nuts. Yeah. It's like I loved this person, but I wasn't in love with him. Like there's
Right,
such a big
right.
difference.
Yeah, you got to be in love.
Mm-hmm. And like people bringing up their like what would bother me so much was when I guess he'd bring up his ex a lot,
Yeah.
and I didn't like that. Like it made me feel
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I had my past, but I'm leaving my past in the past, and I don't even bring it up.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
It's like you're
it's
with this
not
person.
something you always have to bring up. It's just, hey, you know, yeah, this is my past, but I'm moving on to the future now.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I think a big one too is um like, you know, if we were to get married and, have kids, like how would he be with my kids?
Yeah.
Oh, and like stuff that he'd tell me. Like I didn't feel comfortable.
Yeah. You got to feel comfortable with them. You got to feel like yourself.
Right.
You
And
got to
it's
be
like
yourself.
he'd say that um I don't know, like at the time when he said this, he said that in a way I would I would feel like a single mom because he'd be gone so much.
Yeah.
Which I get. I get that. Like, yes,
Yeah.
you need to work. Like, please do. Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah.
it
Yes.
for taking care of your
But
family.
you also got to be there.
Right. It's like you also got to be there and be present and,
Baby's got
you
to know
know,
who daddy is.
exactly. Like, you got to know who daddy is. And, um, and I guess I've always grown up too. I know that this is probably different for everybody, but like if like the parents need to show their kids how much they love each other, how much mom and dad love each
Yeah.
other because they're teaching their children. Um, like that's what they're teaching their kids,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and I feel like a lot of times, like that gets like I get that. Yes, you love your children like so much, like that's
Yeah.
hello, but knowing that your spouse's relationship like that came first too
Yeah. Yeah.
before your kids, and so I was always taught that like you kind of put that above, I guess, like you
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
put that first because if that falls apart, then the other relationship, like your children, like that falls apart,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
like in so many ways.
Yes.
And so that was the big thing where he would say, like, I'd love all of you guys equally, but I'm like, but there's a difference. Like how, in a way, like how you love your children versus how you love your spouse.
There's different kinds of loves.
Right. It's like there's different kinds of loves. Like they're not like totally equal in a
Yeah.
way. And um, uh, he'd say that he'd love his kids more than he'd love his spouse.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
No.
what?
Like, hello, am I here?
Yeah, it's like, am I here? Like, am I like on the
Talking to me?
lower end of the scale and I'm just like a baby machine and
Yeah. Wow.
whatever?
Yeah. No. No. That's not how I roll.
Right. He wants to put his children first, which I get, of course, you do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like,
You gotta put the wife first too.
right, it's like you need to put the wife first.
Yeah.
But he was saying that because of stuff that happened in his family, that's that's the mindset that he grew up with, was
Yeah.
to put, not like his children come first, because in order to be a good father,
Mhm.
then you need to put your kids first before your spouse.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm
No,
like,
that's not how we think of it.
right. It's like, but that's not, in order to be a good father, you first need to learn how to be a good husband.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. And it's like, I feel like both sides come from different, like when when we enter into a relationship, both, this is going to be like my last one, I'm going to say,
Yeah.
like both come from different, like you both grew up differently, and you both come with your own baggage and
Yes.
brokenness and stuff.
Yes.
And
But you come together as one, really.
right, you come together as one. And I guess that's what one of the things that I had trouble with, or that I realized, was that like it was hard for us to come to be broken together in a way,
Yeah.
because we would kind of both come from the same brokenness in a way, and so if
Yeah.
one wasn't healed from that, it would be hard for that person to help the other person,
Right. Right.
and vice versa.
No. I think I got all the stuff I needed to say.
Me too. Like,
Yeah.
there's a whole lot more
I mean, there's so much more, but there's
that
only
can
so much you
always
can
be
say.
right. Yeah,
So
that was good.
it was good.
Hmm.
Good talk.
It was. I approve.
Me too. Ditto.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Well, I gotta call my boyfriend back. He just called me.
Oh my gosh.
Speaking
Hi.
of. Speaking of. All
Right.
right.
Perfect timing.
Right. I know. Yeah. All right. I will talk to
Alrighty.
you later.
Talk to you later.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. All right, guys. So I hope you all enjoyed that video. Um, we're wanting to do some more videos for you. So stay tuned, and God bless. Bye.